Hi, puppy.
She said, welcome to the Start to Be Great podcast.
Yeah, why is this like crooked? There we go. I don't know, it's like this thing. Ahoy! We both have the light from that.
I look really fucked up right now.
Listen, Kimmy, no one watches our YouTube. Really, like,
I just...
maybe someday.
Okay. Let me put the voice memo on. You ready? Okay.
You be good, you get to cook it. You be bad, you get to spray.
Threat.
Threats.
Okay.
Welcome to another amazing episode of the Start to Be Great podcast. I'm your co-host Anna.
And I'm Kimmy. We want you to be great at whatever you feel the desire to do, but first, you gotta start.
Yeah.
So today, we are talking about commitment.
Mm-hmm.
So we've committed to this podcast. We've been doing it about 6 months right now, and we committed to a year.
Yeah, we did.
Mm-hmm.
That was like one of our first rules. We said, hey, if we're gonna do this,
We're
1
gonna
year,
do it.
we're doing it because we knew that it would be hard to do if we didn't have like a goal in mind.
Mm-hmm.
Like if we were just like, hey, do you want to record today? Oh, no, do you? Like, when do you want to post? So like we organize it. We're like, we're doing it
Mm-hmm.
every Monday, weekly, nonstop, no matter where we're going, if we're traveling, whatever. You had a month where you were gone like the whole time, and then this month for me has been rough.
Every weekend, yeah.
Yeah, every weekend I've been busy, so we've had to record on different days than we normally do, and but we're figuring it out.
Yeah.
I think we're at the point in time where most people would quit because we're starting to see a little friction,
Mm-hmm.
like
A little
in
dip.
our lives.
Yeah.
It's getting harder to make time to come up with fun ideas. I think we're also advancing and becoming more critical of our episodes, and we want to make sure we're providing
Quality
good
content.
quality information.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we get together and we're like, okay, what do you want to talk about this week?
It's so accurate.
I don't know, what do you want to talk about? Spaceships, rodeos. It's literally
Dude,
like...
we could talk about rodeos.
We could.
One day we were like, let's talk about water for 45 minutes.
Well, it stinks as we probably could. Like, like easily.
Challenge accepted, Kimmy. Not today, but sometime.
And stay tuned for next week. We talk about water. But no, I think it's good. I mean, it's challenging. We challenge ourselves to find something that we would like to talk about that we want people to hear, and we use this space not only to talk to you guys and to like tell you what we're doing and what we've learned and like everything, but it's also just like a way for you and I to get together and like work shit out for ourselves.
Yeah.
Like you know, we get on, like, we come some weeks and I'm just like, dude, I'm not fucking feeling it. Like everything sucks. Everything like blank, 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 blank. It's like totally against what I normally feel.
Mm-hmm.
And like there's definitely like it's a good indicator. It like when I'll re-listen to the podcast, I'm like, man, I really was in a mood. But you can tell by the end of the podcast, I kind of talked myself out of it. Like by the end of it, I'm feeling like way better, like obviously more energized, and I'm appreciative of the podcast, but it is a commitment, and we're definitely feeling that right now.
Yes. I think it's okay. I think we're processing a lot of the topics that we bring into the podcast. We're processing and like dealing with stuff in real time.
Mm-hmm.
Like same timesies
Mm-hmm.
as you, as each other. Like it's just real life shit, and that's part of why we wanted to do it. Is I know that I have had a lot of friends that have gone through some stuff and they feel like they're alone because not everyone is active on social media. Not everyone reaches out when they're struggling, and I think that's the beauty of the podcast, is just to hear two regular gals letting you know that you're not alone dealing with some bullshit as life hands it to you.
Yeah.
So right now, we are going to surpass our commitment phobia. I'm just kidding. We're not afraid of it, but just the difficulty. I think we need to be more intentional with our time on planning topics and doing that maybe more in advance versus like the hour before.
Yeah. But also, if there's anything that you guys want to hear about, please let us know.
Yeah.
Like Anna and Kimmy discuss, iglooing.
Oh my God. You wanted to bring that up so bad.
I want to because I'm so astounded that it's even a thing.
You're like, how are we gonna fit iglooing into this conversation? And I'm like, we're not. And then here you are.
Well, we have to talk about it now. So I would love for you to just please explain what iglooing is because you're the reason I know what it is.
Of course you want me to tell everyone. Sorry, not sorry. If there are children around, please shield their ears. So I found a clip on Instagram last week and I sent it to Kimmy because it was like, what the hell is this? So a guy was like, hey, there's this new trend called iglooing. And he's like, oh, really? What is it? And he's like, do you want to guess? And he's like, okay, I'll guess. And he's like, well, it's cold and they're made for shelter. So I don't know. He's like guessing like random like practical things. Yeah. And he's like, yeah, man, that's really good.
He's like, whoa, did I get it?
Yeah.
I said almost.
He's like, yeah, man, you're really, really close. And then he's like, actually, it's when people freeze their shit and use it as a dildo. I just can't. I think the Tide Pod people have gone awry.
Yes.
Further down the path of no return.
Yeah.
I don't know what the hell.
I don't know because as much as I don't want to think about it, all my brain wants to do is think about it because I'm like thinking about the logistics of this.
Well, the first thing you said is, what happens when it gets warm?
When it warms up.
Ugh.
Yeah, I don't. Okay, we can move on. Commitment.
Hope you're not eating right now while you're listening to this. Sausage links on your plate?
Oh, man.
Scratch that for today.
So, where and when did you learn about commitment?
So, I didn't have any direct mentors as a kid. I think I've told you that before. Like, I learned most of my lessons based on people showing me what not to do. But I wasn't necessarily like taught lessons or given any advice or schooling in that sense. When I first learned about commitment, really, was when I joined the Marine Corps. Oh, sorry, I had a burp. I was like, I'm drinking some NoCo right now, limon, and it just gave me some mouth gas.
Jesus.
You opened the door.
Yeah. This we're starting great on today's episode. We're doing
so, the Marine Corps motto: honor, courage, commitment. Coincidentally, HCC, hard charger coffee. I don't think there is no such thing as coincidences. I'll just say that right now. So commitment. I think I learned it from the military.
Why would you think that? Like just like what you were taught there, or the fact that you were committed in?
Well, you don't really have a choice to be committed. You
Yeah.
signed up, so
Yeah.
you can go AWOL, but that ain't gonna be fun for you when you get caught. I would have to go live in the fields of West Virginia.
Yeah.
When I was active duty, I mean, everything that we did, we committed to. Like, you commit to being, when I was a non-commissioned officer, you commit to that role, you commit to your job, you commit to your teammates, you commit to these plans, like you commit to challenges, you commit to being the best version of yourself, like pushing yourself. So there was so many examples. Like, you had to learn to be adaptable, but that was almost like a secondary, like a leadership skill. The basis, the foundation was be committed. So whatever decision you're gonna do, just go full send, just commit to it. And then later on they teach you, okay, but there are times when you want to adapt and learn about things where you maybe don't want to commit anymore. And that's something that comes with experience. That's why they didn't teach it to you when you first got there. They taught it to you later as a leader.
Yeah. See, I'm thinking about you as like a 17-year-old kid going into the Marines. Like, do you think so? You when you were just talking, then I was like, well, I was going to ask you the question: when in your military career do you think you found commitment? When do you think that you like kind of changed to be more of like that kind of role? But like, I'm thinking like, if you're 17 and you talked about it in the past, and you said there was nothing else you wanted to be other than a Marine. Like you were already pre-committed. Like from when you tell the story.
Yeah, I was. So they have what's called the Delayed Entry Program, DEP, right? It's like all the what are those kids in school that like wear uniforms?
Like ROTC?
Yeah, I wasn't in ROTC.
Was it JROTC?
Yeah. So I never did that, but I DEP'd in.
Mm-hmm.
And so that just means that you sign your contract before you can go. It's like pre-committing to leaving this date.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know, I'm sure there are rules and ways to get out of it, but I never thought about, oh, what if I change my mind? Like, I was ready. I was 100% committed. I stopped being friends with my best friend because I was so committed to it, because she was hanging out with people and doing things. Quite honestly, she was smoking weed and I was worried about getting in trouble. And I didn't like her friends. I was worried about getting caught up in something. So I stopped being friends with my best friend of 10 years to commit to the Marine Corps when I was 17.
Yeah.
So yeah, I DEP'd in as early as I could. The earliest you can do it is when you are 17. You still need parent permission to do it. So I had to have both my parents sign.
Yeah. Dang.
Yeah.
So you were committed to joining. Do you think that was question? Do you think that was stubbornness, or do you think that was commitment? Like, do you think there's a difference between stubbornness or commitment, or do you think they both have the same kind of like beginnings, and then you decide whether or not like you're just doing it to do it, or if you're doing it because you're doing it for a reason?
That's a good question. There's totally a difference. And you know what's funny is my mom's, like, probably her worst quality is how stubborn she was. And I think the difference, and this is just me, I think the difference between being stubborn and being committed is someone who's committed can recognize when they're wrong or when they've changed their mind and understand why, and they allow themselves and forgive themselves the freedom to change if it comes up. Whereas someone who's stubborn, like, they could be committed to something and then it could be like the worst decision ever, and they're like, nope, said I'm gonna do it and I'm not gonna be wrong. And it's like, it's a pride ego thing that gets in the way, I think, with being stubborn.
Yeah. When I think about the difference between stubbornness and commitment, I think the word that like differentiates the two is intent. Like, what's your intent behind doing something? Like, if you're like gung-ho into going towards one goal, one direction, what's your intent behind it? Like, do you have, like, what's your reason why? Like, if you're just doing it to do it, like you said, ego and like all of like just things just because you said you're going to do it, so you're going to do it, I think that's stubbornness. If you're doing it for like a reason why, or if you have like multiple facets of like what's pushing you in that direction, I think that's commitment.
Yeah. And I think that one of the reasons why the Marine Corps says honor, courage, commitment is because those things are kind of tied together. Like, honor is like doing something that you're proud of and like sticking to your word when you say you're going to do something. Courage, meaning knowing that you're gonna come up against shit that you're going to be scared to do, but if you say you're going to do it, then do it anyway. Right? And it's like those things kind of all tie in together in my mind.
I don't think you can have one without the other.
Probably not. Yeah. What about you?
Well, I specifically remember, and of course I think it's multiple times in my life when I've been challenged in my commitment, but I remember vividly this moment with my father. I was young, like 6, 7, in that age area, and I didn't want to go to soccer practice. So my dad was driving me to soccer practice in his Jeep. I was in the back and he was driving, and I was begging. I was begging not to go. I was crying. I was like, I just didn't want to go that day. I don't know why. And he pulls over on the side of the road and he turns around to look at me. Like I remember, like I see it in my brain. He turns around to look at me. He looks me dead in my eyes and he was like, did you say you were gonna do this? And I was like, yes. And he was like, then you're gonna do it. He was like, if people are expecting you to be there, you're on a team. You're a critical role in that team getting to a certain goal. You know, like he was like, if you committed to this, you're gonna go. And I remember going to the soccer, and then he, you know, drove me to soccer practice, made me go. And I remember that practice being an awesome time, and I enjoyed being there. But I remember specifically after that day I never told my dad I wasn't going to go to practice again. Like I never like threw a tantrum about going. I mean, there would definitely be days I didn't want to go, but I never was like, I'm not going to soccer practice because I don't want to. You know, like you go because you committed. And I remember vividly that being like you know how you have those times in your life when like you're like, I changed today.
Yeah.
You know, like that was one for me. And I know I was super young, but I remember it, and I definitely, I put, mine's nothing like yours, like Marine Corps, you know, soccer practice with my daddy, but it was definitely, it was big in my life.
Yeah. No, and I mean, I can imagine, because he was a cop back when you were 6, right? So I can imagine you're like, your cop dad. Did he have a mustache back then?
He did.
Oh yeah.
He has had a mustache my entire life.
I love it.
He's shaved it off one time in my life because he had to have surgery or like on his rotator cuff or something, and so they made him shave it for the thing that goes over your mouth or whatever. And I was like, oh. I was like, why are you looking at me like this? This is aggressive. Like, stop looking. And like, it was weird. Like, it's grown back now. We're normal again. But
yeah,
no.
I think that would be like extra intimidating. Like as a 6-year-old, like your dad turns around, like this is so important. He stopped the car.
Yeah.
He's not just like hollering it over his shoulder. That fucking mattered.
No, he looked me dead in my eyes.
Imparted it to you that day.
Like he said, this is important and you will learn this.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Well, we went to this, I don't know why I feel the need to tell you this, but every single time we would go to soccer practice, he would take me, we would stop. So he lives in this small town in Arkansas, and they had this like a grocery store / like convenience store like on the corner, like one of those. And we would stop every time to go to soccer to get one of those twist top Gatorades, you know, like the one with like the twisty nipple type thing. And they taste better out of that top. You cannot convince me otherwise. But I have such like nostalgia with those stupid twist top Gatorades. Like I will get one if I'm like feeling sad.
Nice.
Yeah.
Those bottles were the best.
Yeah. There was another time, again with my dad, it was later on. I was probably like 14, 15. I might have told this story before on the podcast, but have you ever heard of Pinewood Derby?
No.
Okay, so it's like a thing in Scouts where you create this little car that goes on a track. And
you told me about it.
Yeah, I probably have told it on here, but I'm going to tell it again. You can either race it for speed or you can race it for style.
Yeah.
And so my brother did it all growing up. I watched him make these little cars. Well, they finally implemented it for Girl Scouts in my area, and so I was creating my first car, and I did it exactly the style of my brother Chris's because his was like one every time for speed. Like it was a good like aerodynamic, and he worked really hard, like meticulously, like sanding axles and like making it super fast. Like he worked hard, and it was fast. And so I did that, but I half-assed it. Like I didn't put a lot of effort into it, and I showed up expecting it to do well because it looked like Chris's car. It should race like Chris's car, and it just didn't. I got last, but like not last, but like I got demolished at that. And I was so pissed. I was so like upset. Like I did not understand like why mine didn't do well, and well, I did know why, and that's why I was so upset. Is because I didn't commit to it.
I mean, you knew you didn't put in the effort, but you wanted it to just come easy, which is I feel like a lot of people want that. So
and so
just be perfectly good at something naturally.
I did it for 4 more years. I was in Girl Scouts for 4 more years after that, and because I was like 14 and then I turned 18 and I'm an adult Girl Scout now. But I did it for 4 more years and I won first place every single year after that because I absolutely would not lose again.
Yeah.
And I committed to that car. So
I'm still waiting for you to bring those cars home because I want to see them.
oh, I will bring them. Next time I go to Arkansas, I will find them and bring them because
Just have your dad mail them.
yeah, I guess so. They're really light. They're like the size of like
But it's a bubble wrap them. I don't want them
like a
ruined.
crunch candy bar. Like that's the size of it.
Oh, they're so little.
Yeah, they're like little.
I
Yeah.
like it.
But yeah, my dad is really good at slapping the shit out of me with lessons.
You know, I think that was probably what was missing from my youth. Is not necessarily like I wasn't raised by my dad. I was raised by a single mom, and not that it matters who is the one imparting knowledge and wisdom and lessons like that. It doesn't matter if it's your mom, if it's your grandma, if it's your dad, your uncle, like that doesn't matter. But it's really hard, I feel like, to do that when you're the sole provider, like my mom was to 3 kids. Like, she didn't have time. You know, I know that she didn't raise us the way she wanted to because she was exhausted. And like trying to think of ways to teach her daughters how to be good humans was like lower than making sure that they lived.
Yeah.
It was like, do they have a place to live and food and water? Cool.
Yeah.
I'm done now because that's all I can manage. And so it's like the 2-parent household, I think, or someone who's just in a better situation financially, you know, with children. I think those people, and it doesn't need to have money even, but just like better space.
No, I feel you. Yeah.
I think that's it's unfortunate that so many divorces happen in this country.
Yeah.
Because I think that is one of the negative impacts on kids.
Yeah. I spent the majority of time with my mom, which she did the soul raising for me. I got to spend a good amount of time with my dad, which I'm very thankful for. But I can see both sides of what you're saying.
Yeah, and again, it's not true for everybody. Like some people are really good at doing all the things.
I think that is a good transition, though. We wanted to talk about commitment in relationships.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. You brought up the D word.
If you're sweating right now, keep going.
So divorce is so prevalent nowadays. Like it's more common. So my parents are divorced. They divorced when I was like 1, like very young. Yeah, very young. So I don't remember them being together. But I do remember growing up in elementary school. There was me and one other kid that parents were divorced. Like it was like very abnormal. Like and it was well known in my school. You know, like because that's how odd it was. And now it's like if I find somebody whose parents are still together, I'm like, damn, you know, it's like
I
good
know.
for them.
I literally, when someone's like, oh yeah, my mom and dad are coming, and I'm like, your mom and dad are married? And I'm like, why is that shocking? I don't like it. And you know, we've talked. I'm like, no, I don't believe in staying together for the kids either. But how about just commit to your vows and try and make it work versus just quitting as easily as. When the microwave breaks, you just toss it instead of like trying to repair it. Maybe a microwave's a bad example. The table leg.
No, things in general.
know?
We were talking about this earlier, and I was just like, even myself included, like, we just throw things away and get new ones now.
Right.
Like it's a quick turnaround. We don't try to fix things. It's like there's that sense of keeping things is gone.
Yeah, it's really weird. I worry about it. I mean, it was like at 50% when I was like graduating high school, so I'm sure it's way higher now, the divorce rate. And I mean, I'm turning 35 this year. If I was actively dating, which I am not, I would probably be looking at men that are at least divorced once in my age bracket.
Yeah.
Like I feel like that was a very common thing to see on dating sites, which again, it's not bad if it happens for a reason, but the reason, like, it just is more common. Like, okay, so what's the reason? You guys just didn't love each other anymore? I think that that's part of the flow of a marriage. You know, I don't know, I haven't been married that long, but from what all of the people say, it's like you have to work at it, and if you both aren't working at it, then yeah, sure, it's gonna feel like that and it's gonna suck. But Tell me someone who's been married for 50 years that said it was perfect the whole time.
Yeah.
I remember Carly, my friend Carly, I'm sure she won't mind me spilling her parents' tea on the on the podcast, but she was having her own relationship, I don't know, issues, you know, concerns, and her parents been married. They're the couple that is still married, and they were like, Carly, we gotta tell you something. And she's like, what? And they're like, there was at least 1 or 2 times where we were like this close to getting divorced. And she's like, what? Because in her mind, you know, she's the kid. She's like, I thought it was perfect the whole time. And they're like, no. It's been like months, years of not the best times, you know? And they're like, but they're currently at like, I don't remember how many years they're at right now, like 36 or something like that. And they're like, we're so happy now. Like, you know, I don't think it's gonna I think the expectation of it to be amazing the whole time is stupid.
Well, not even just amazing the whole time. You were telling me this story the other day that you were like, we're waiting for the right person, right? We're waiting for the person that's meant to be for us. And like when you were describing this, I was just like, damn. Will you do it again for them?
Yeah, so my new obsession, I have left Mel Robbins. I'm now all over Jay Shetty's balls. And so I love him. He's an author, podcast guy, and he was a monk. Find him on Instagram. He's got great content. He was doing an interview with Ed Milet, who is another great guy. But Jay Shetty, he said, people always talk about how, oh, like, I'm gonna leave this relationship because they just don't feel perfect for me, and that perfect person's out there, and it's like they're made for me. And so if you think about that, you're like, if someone's made for you, it would be like a puzzle piece where there would be no changing. Like it would just be like, oh, these people are perfect and they mesh. But then so what he's saying is he's like, if someone's made for you, then that's not beautiful, because love is finding imperfect people that you want to find a way to make those puzzle pieces connect. You want to make it work. It's the choice of loving someone and making it work with someone that's beautiful. And if you found someone that was made for you, so to speak, that it would be easy and that y'all wouldn't grow together. Like it would just be stagnant. You'd be happy probably because there'd be no whatever, but
think about how boring that would be.
Yeah. So he just was hyping up the idea of choosing to love somebody.
I think that's so much more special too. Like I think it's way more flattering when somebody like chooses me rather than like thinks that we're perfect together.
Yeah.
You know, like if you know we're not perfect together, you know I have my faults, and you recognize that, and you still choose to love me. That's so much deeper, so much better than we are exactly the same. We're gonna agree on everything, and I think you're right because I also think I'm right.
Yeah.
You know? So.
I mean, that sounds fun for a few months.
Yeah.
But again, like
I don't know. Maybe you and I just like to fight.
no, I don't like to fight. I wanna grow. I'm not even close to being the person I'm supposed to become yet. You know, like I've barely dipped my toe in. And if I meet someone who doesn't encourage me and support me changing and growing still, because he loves me right now for who I am and we're perfect together here in this moment, that doesn't allow me freedom to keep going forward.
Yeah. Well, we've talked about it in the past, like changing your mind when it comes to like huge things like wanting kids and stuff like that. Like if you meet the person you're supposed to be with and you fit perfectly, but then your puzzle piece changes a little bit because you change your mind. You know, you're like, I didn't want kids when we got together, but I do now. My puzzle piece changed.
Yeah.
You no longer fit very well.
Yeah.
That
one is, you know, I like to, one of the things that I've taught Summer and tried to impart on her is not to use the words always or never. Because it's hard to know what you'll do in someone else's shoes and in a situation you've never been in. And it's also hard to know, like, what lessons you will learn that may change your mind. And so like I've told you before, like when I was in my 20s, I did not want kids.
Mm-hmm.
Never once did I grow up as a teenager, as a young girl, thinking I never had like a toy baby.
Mm-hmm.
Why do they give kids baby dolls? I never understood it.
Oh, I had one.
I had G.I. Joe dolls.
I had lots of Barbies.
I didn't have lots of Barbies. But yeah, I just, that wasn't me. And
Mm-hmm.
all through my 20s, I would date people and they'd be like, I want kids. And I'm like, well, this ain't gonna work.
Yeah.
Might as well just go on now and get. So,
Scram.
and now what I find myself is like the last few men that I've dated, I have been able to have the conversation early on that I say, hey, like, we're not there yet, and I don't necessarily want it, but I'm not saying no. I'm not saying never.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not that I'm like dating people and I'm like, I want a baby. That's
Mm-hmm.
not how I feel about it, but I'm like, I could see it.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, it's not completely changed, but it is different.
Yeah.
And so I like to say that when I like commit to a relationship, I commit to being open, and I try, like I said, I try really hard not to be my mom and not to be so stubborn.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a challenge. I'm working on it all the time.
Yeah.
But yeah, committing to growth in a relationship,
Mm-hmm.
I think that's underlooked.
Mm-hmm.
Because like the grass is greener where you water it. And so if you're not growing, like everyone always thinks that like it's easier somewhere else,
Mhm.
whether it's relationships, a job, like something else. Like even me when I was at the hospital, I had issues, right? I had
Mhm.
like things I hated about my job.
Mm-hmm.
And in my mind, I was a realist. Like I kind of knew what I was getting into. But I'm like, it's not just all rainbows and unicorns over here.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's a lot of things that are very challenging.
Yeah.
Not working for a hospital, but working for yourself. So,
Mm-hmm.
but you have to know, you have to commit to something long enough to know if it's going to work or not.
Yeah.
Like this podcast.
Yeah. I with commitment, I think that it's important to also recognize that there are times when giving up makes sense. Like you don't have to like we were talking about the difference between stubbornness and commitment. Like you don't have to just hold on because you said you were going to. Like I know that's exactly opposite of what I just said for the last 30 minutes, but I think in some instances it is like you were saying, you're taught later in the Marines reasons why you should bail.
Right. Well, like they teach you, I don't remember all of they teach you leadership skills. There's 14.
Mm-hmm.
The acronym is JJ, did, tie, buckle. I don't remember what all of them are, but like some of them are like judgment, decisiveness.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, are you gonna look it up?
I am. Here we go.
Justice, I know, is one of them. Okay, hit us.
All right, here we go. JJ did tie buckle. Let's see what they stand for. Justice, judgment, dependability, initiative, decisiveness, tact, integrity, enthusiasm, bearing, unselfishness, courage, knowledge, loyalty, and endurance.
Yeah. So those are traits they teach you as you get promoted.
Marine Corps leadership traits.
Yeah, so that's about E4, which is like about 3 years in. They start teaching you that stuff. But yeah, so you need to know how to use all those, what they mean, in order to make decisions, in order to be like a good person is kind of, how it goes, and to be a good leader. When to quit, I mean, I personally, this is situational, right? Like in a relationship, if there's physical or verbal abuse or infidelity, those are like 2 hard no's for me. But like, I don't think that just not getting along with someone is a reason. Like, and again, there's so many variables. It's, are you in a relationship or are you married? Because I think that those change as well. Like marriage is a different type of commitment, using different type of equipment. it's more intense. It should mean more. So lots of variables there. But like just in general, I think that a good practice is pulling your emotions out of it. And honestly, like I like to talk to friends about like things and decisions about like, hey, am I doing this wrong, or should I quit this or keep going? Sometimes just talking it out loud, even without advice or with advice, and just letting it in and out, is good. Sometimes that helps you kind of sort it out. But honestly, like I think thinking about it in my own mind is the most helpful. Like, how do I really feel about this? And I like have a conversation with myself. Like, is this something I want to keep doing? Am I being a 6-year-old in a car just not wanting to go to practice right now? Or is this really like not a good use of my time? Like, is this not where my path in life is leading me? Like, you have to, only you know that answer.
Yeah, I think I run into that a lot. I don't know when to stop. I overcommit to things a lot, like sometimes to a fault, to where like they're actively detracting from my success. Like because I've committed to it, I feel like I have to see it through to the end, but there may not be an end, or it may not be serving me any longer. And I have a lot of trouble differentiating between that. And I don't know if it's like conversations I need to have with myself. Sometimes I have trouble distancing myself enough from the situation to be able to see it impartially.
Yeah.
So I'm still working on that one a lot, because I'm highly committed. I'm very good at committing to things and showing up, and like you said earlier, your word. Like my word means so much to me. We've discussed it in the past. Of my professor said, like, who are you going to call when you need to feed the cows at 6 or at 4 a.m. That kind of thing. I want to be the person that people call. I want people to, like, when I say I'm going to be there, I'm going to be there. Like if I'm saying I'm going to do something, you're going to expect it to be done. But I don't know where that line is drawn for a lot of things, a lot of times.
Yeah, I mean, that's a hard one.
Yeah, no, it's not an answer that I think anybody can give me. I think it's one that I find for myself, but
I think a lot of self-reflecting, maybe honestly, journaling, as silly as it sounds, helps getting the thoughts out of your head. I had a situation, we didn't really talk much about the women's retreat that I went on, but I had a situation where I was really mad at myself because I didn't do something. So when I said that I was going to do the women's retreat, I am like saying that I'm going to show up and give my best self, right? And to me, that means I'm going to participate in all the activities. And so there was a day that came up, and there was something that we did where I didn't want to do it. And I couldn't make myself do it that day. Like I cried. And I kind of had to like walk away and just be alone for a bit. And I was pretty frustrated with I was mad at myself. And I was like, what the hell? Like, why can't you just do this? Like, you said you were gonna do all the things, and now here you are not doing it, and like everyone's watching you, blah, 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 all these things were going on in my mind. When I got home that night, I journaled, and I was like, dude, the only reason I felt pulled to do it was because I wanted to fit in with the women at the group that in that moment. I have zero regrets about my decision. And in that moment, I didn't want to do it. And I just didn't feel comfortable trusting myself so much and knowing that I knew what was best, because it went against my normal, like, I wanted to just be like, just fucking do it, But it took journaling for me to realize, like, no, like, you do hard shit all the time, and you know what is best for you. And so it was super helpful for me. And I think that could be something that everybody uses.
Yeah, definitely self-reflection would help.
Yeah. I don't know. I think that your word is important. 100%. It's one of my favorite things. Like, when we said we were going to do this podcast, like, I could tell by who you were that when we said, hey, we're committing for a year, I wasn't worried about like, oh, is she gonna bail on me? Like, I've never thought that of you. The only time that like anything has ever happened with our schedule is because you overcommit on accident and you're just too busy, and you're human. So it's not intentional, like you said, intent. But you always show up. And so I never doubted for a second that you wouldn't be a good person to commit to a year doing a podcast with. But your word is so important, but also like recognizing that, hey, like we're human. You need to have some self-reflect time and some self-awareness and know what's right for you.
How do you feel about your word compared to other people's word? Like, I'm very like, my word means everything to me, but I'm way more lax on other people. Like you just said, you're human, is what you just said to me. Like, and it's like,
I give you grace, but I don't give myself
exactly.
grace. Yeah.
And I do that to everyone. Like, I wouldn't think as poorly on somebody else that didn't do something they said they were going to commit to. I'm definitely going to judge you, like straight up. But I'm way more forgiving to that than if I were to not do something that I said I was going to do. And I wonder why that is. I
also noticed that it's different from friends to like a boyfriend or a husband or something. Because like you could do things to me that like if I had a boyfriend do them to me, I'd be so pissed at him. But you do it, I'm like, oh, Kimmy, come on, man. And then immediate forgiveness. Why don't I offer that to him? Why there's like tiers and levels to like self, significant other, and friends, and probably even one to family, you know, like I don't know, but I've definitely experienced that. I mean, that's kind of part of your job, right? Like people pay you to tell them what to do
and hold them accountable,
because they want your approval and you to tell them to reach their goals, which is, I mean, don't get me wrong, like I love the business and we all need help sometimes, but it's like, why are we as a human society not capable of being like, hey, I want to be healthy, I want to be in shape, I'm gonna do this. Like, why is it so hard to just fucking do it? Because we all struggle with it. And I mean, there's nothing wrong with hiring someone to make you better. But I think that
it's harder to commit to yourself.
It is harder to commit to yourself.
Like you break promises to yourself all the time. Like you say you're going to do something, and it's like, why? Like if somebody, like I just said, like if somebody were to tell me they're going to do something, like I'll give you like a little bit of grace, but overall, like if it's like a habit of you just saying you're going to do something for me and then you don't do it, like I'm not going to believe you anymore. But it's the same thing to yourself. Like if you say if you tell yourself you're going to do something and you just actively don't all the time, what is that saying to your subconscious? Like what is that saying? Like why is your relationship, like why do we treat the relationship with ourselves different or lesser than the relationships with other people? Like we shouldn't be.
No, I don't know. When you told me that you don't snooze because you don't want to start your day breaking a promise to yourself, that fucking hit different. Like, I don't want to snooze because I would be lying to myself, because my past self told me I was going to wake up at this time. And if I hit snooze, I just broke a commitment to myself. And like, I was like, holy shit. I didn't even think of it like that.
It's the first thing you did.
It's the first thing. It's a way to start the day is like by snoozing. And how many Americans snooze?
Everyone.
I mean, so many people.
Yeah,
dude.
I don't know.
I think that we can all work on it some more. I mean, no wonder people have low self-esteem. They don't trust themselves because when I say they, I mean me too. Like, I also tell myself, like, ask me when the last time I took America on a WALK was. That's one of the things I try and tell myself to do almost daily, and I slack on it. But if I said, hey, I'm gonna go over to your house and do this for your dog while you're out of town, I would fucking show up. You know what I mean? Like, and so they say that you should, when you want to like do some self-care stuff, you should make an appointment with yourself. Like, put it in your calendar just like you would with anyone else. What do you think about that?
I like that a lot. I also like it because the self-reflection tactic of like, how are you thinking? Like, it's easy to have, like, you think without even thinking, you know, like, and it's like, if you're thinking these nasty things about yourself, they're always like, if the stuff you said in your head, you said out loud, and it was, you were talking to a friend, would you actually be friends with yourself? That's like a good way to like check in and be like, are the thoughts that I'm thinking healthy? Are they thoughts that I should be thinking, you know? And I think it's the same thing with commitment. Like, if you took a like realistic look, and if you treated the stuff that you make for yourself and treated it like a friend, like if I told my friend I was going to do all this stuff and I didn't do it, like how long do you think they would be my friend? How long do you think they would expect me to still show up?
Oh yeah, it doesn't take long for someone to be considered flaky in my eyes, and I don't hang out with flaky people. Like, I do not make time for you.
Oh yeah, you get like 1 or 2 with me.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of how it is when you are like super busy and doing shit. Like, you screw me over in that sense. Like, I feel like that's getting screwed over if I get like stood up or blown off or canceled on last minute. That's not cool. Yeah, that doesn't take long to not get any more of my time.
Yeah.
So you should think about that next time you do it. Whoever is listening and feeling like I'm attacking you.
Yes. And also just check in with yourself. Like you said, schedule it on my my calendar, and I think I need to be implementing that more. Because it's not that I am not doing the things that I say I need to be doing, but they're definitely less priority.
Yeah.
You know, if I do them, they're like, what can I get done for other people? Okay, I said I was going to do this. Anna's going to ask me at the end of this week if I got it done, which accountability, you know. Why am I not being accountable to myself? But I am. But if I'm literally just being like backpedaling. It's fine. It's like if you schedule it on your calendar, it's way more likely to get done. I think that's an awesome practice that I definitely am going to try this week.
Yeah. I mean, writing it down is, it's more likely to get done for sure. I think that is something that we could actually do with our podcast, since we were talking in the beginning about needing to be more intentional with planning it out and setting time aside. Like, as of right now, what we've been doing was we have our one day that we do, but maybe we need maybe it's just a FaceTime. It doesn't need to be like a full-on meeting, because I know we're both busy, but maybe we just schedule a block of time that we're usually always free and be like, yeah, let's FaceTime for 30, and FaceTime is actually really good, because then you can't be on your phone.
That is true.
No.
Cold out.
no distractions. No, we both do it. Yeah, I think the person that I want to make proud of myself the most, am I saying that right? Most proud of myself is me. I love it when someone else is like, Anna, you're so cool. I'm like, oh, thanks. But I want to look at myself in the mirror and be like, Anna, you're so fucking cool, and mean it. You know what I mean? I want to be proud of myself, and I think part of that is going to be committing to more of the things I say I'm going to do. Yeah. And so, I think I'm pretty good at it already, but always room for growth, always room for improvement. Like I said, I have been slacking. 75 Hard was really good because I had a set daily routine. Yeah. And I still don't have a set routine that I follow strict. Yeah. Why did I follow Andy Frisella's routine? Never met the guy. I definitely look up to him, so I do value his advice, opinion, feedback, whatever, his guidance. But why do I value his program more than I do my own? Yeah. Why? I don't know. Why do I need to commit to 75 Hard just to take my dog on a walk every day? Yeah. I don't.
Well, I think you just said routine, and that made me think longevity of this. 75 Hard, we had 75 days. That's a designated time, but 75 days is a long time if you think about it. And it's it takes that long. You're talking about habits, you're talking about consistency, with commitment. Yeah. With that, and it's if you haven't been consistent with yourself, if you haven't been committed to obtaining your goals, you can't just start to be okay, well, this week I'm going to be better, and then next week fall off again. It's like a trust thing, It's it takes consistency with commitment to actually make changes and actually change how you're thinking and acting and actually being. Yeah. So Don't
Little
just
by little,
don't
you
just
gotta
like
change
I
little
mean
by
definitely start to be great,
Yeah.
but start and stay committed.
Yeah, it'd be better for you to start one small thing to change every day
Mm-hmm.
than to try and do like this whole different thing.
Transformation, completely transformed in one day.
One of the things that I did a couple of years ago. I know this is sad. It's only a couple of years ago, but I started making my bed every morning.
Mm-hmm. I do that too.
And which is funny because I used to for a long time, and then I got out of the military and I stayed with it for a little bit, and then I was like, fuck it, I'm just gonna get back in it.
Mm-hmm.
But you know how good you feel when you walk into your bedroom and your bed's made? It just looks nice, it feels good. And so I got back into it, and lately it's been a little, like, it might not be the first thing I do. I'll still do it, but I've given myself a little leeway.
There
and I
is
need to get it back.
very few times, I will say, very few times that I've walked into your bedroom and your bed has not been made. Like,
Yeah.
maybe like max like 3.
Well, because sometimes I'll go I feed the horses and I'm like, okay, it's 6:10 and I'm leaving. I'm like, I don't care about making my bed until I'll do it when I get back.
Yeah.
But like, it takes 2 seconds.
Mm-hmm.
Just do it. I'm talking to myself. Just do it. But starting with a small task like making your bed. If you don't make your bed every day, make your bed every day. First thing when you wake up, just get out of bed. Make your bed. Your reward is you get to go pee.
Yeah.
And then when you're done peeing, you go high five yourself in the mirror. That's not what you have to do. That's what I'm gonna do starting tomorrow morning.
I love it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. All right. Well,
thank you guys for listening and investing in yourself today. We believe in you and we can't wait to see you win.
don't forget to check us out on YouTube. I know our video is super cool and you're excited to watch it, especially right now.
Yeah, it seems rough.
The lighting is just great.
I look quite bald.
You don't look
Trying to
bald.
fluff my ponytail up so that I don't look like...
You don't look bald. But you know what? Come sit at my dining table with us and chat with us. Feel like you're part of the crew. Check us out on YouTube. We're on Apple, Spotify, Amazon Music, and iHeartRadio now. So check us out every Monday morning at 6 a.m. so you can start your week with your foot on the gas. Now, go do the work.